Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock, time for our Riverfront Trust meeting. Welcome, everyone. Our first item is call to order. Second, items from the chairman, which is an update on Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority Committee activities. And the first one is a recommendation from the Development and Water Use Committee on an ordinance ordinance amendments related to park, recreation, and cultural affairs. I'd like to call on Kathy to explain that and tell us about the committee action.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Land and Water Use Committee met previously and reviewed the ordinance, and basically what you have here is it's kind of a cleanup of what we have previously done. Basically what we will be doing is taking the river off of the close to home fishing. Mm-hmm. When you open up the dams, all of the fish that have been stocked are lost. And so it doesn't make much sense for us to keep that as a close to home fishing. And the second thing that we will be doing is prohibiting the sailboats at Crystal Bridge, and then giving the Parks and Recreation Director a little bit more leeway to make exceptions to the sailboats out there at Crystal Lake.
Any other comments or questions? This item will come up for adoption later in the agenda. Item B is update on Maps 3, Riverfront Subcommittee activities.
I've attended the meetings, and as many of you have seen in the paper, the City Council has moved forward with the Whitewater project, so that's what a lot of the emphasis has been, is to be able to start moving forward to that, start seeing whether we can get that open in time for some of the events, and so that's moving forward with the other projects.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments about committee meetings? If not, we'll move on to item 3, which is approval of our May 27th minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Any comments? If not, please register your vote. Item is approved. Item 4 is consent docket. We have 2 items, sand mining, oil and gas revenues, and riverfront corridor events.
Move approval of both items.
Been moved and seconded. Please record your vote. Item is approved. Moving to primary agenda items, item A is to receive Oklahoma River maintenance projects update.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, other trustee members. We have 3 items on the report today. Item 1 is our hydraulic cylinder purchase and replacement. Last month, I reported that the week following the meeting, we were going to attempt to put the new cylinders on the eastern dam, as well as do some rehabilitation and the change out of all the hydraulic fluid in the system. Well, it would be our luck that we've had some pretty substantial rainfall those first couple weeks after the meeting, and we did not want to have to take the dam partially offline when we weren't quite sure whether we were going to have large flows of water coming down the river. So consequently, we have rescheduled that, and we've got our fingers crossed that we'll be able to undertake that starting next Monday morning. All the different parties involved, our street maintenance crew, the hydraulic fluid vendor, the hydraulic maintenance vendor, they're all online, and they've all indicated that they'll be ready to go first thing next Monday morning. So absent any substantial rain that we expect, and right now the forecast looks pretty good. It looks like we might get some rain over the next couple of days, and hopefully that'll all be passed. But we really didn't want to take any part of the eastern dam offline when we thought that we might have some heavy water coming down the river. That's one thing we definitely didn't want to deal with. So again, we're tentatively scheduled to start that next Monday morning. So hopefully next month I'll have a successful report for you. Item number 2 is Canal Zone G extension. The city has received a insurance policy quotation from, I can't tell you exactly who the insurance company was. We have gone ahead and submitted that to the railroad for their review. It's our understanding that within the next week we should have their approval on that. Once they have approved the coverage that's included in the insurance policy, we will be able to take a permanent agreement forth to the city council, which will more or less put an end to the issues we've been experiencing with access on the sidewalks that go underneath the railroad bridge. So we're not quite there yet, but we are. Now that we have found an insurance vendor who was willing to issue a policy with the appropriate coverages, we've turned that into the railroad, and we're very hopeful that they will say it covers everything that we need, and once we get that in hand, the agreement will go to the city council for final approval, and we can put this item to rest once and for all. Hopefully, at next month's meeting, I'll have a good report for you on that also.
So, Mr. Chairman, so from a practical viewpoint, after all these months, where are we? I mean, are people walking under the railroad?
Not, again, they are not supposed to be walking under the railroad bridge. Unfortunately, about a week ago, Sam Sladen, who's our river projects manager, he sent me some pictures. Early in the morning before Sam comes to work, he makes the rounds and he goes to all 3 dams, checks out conditions at the control house, checks for, anything that needs to be addressed immediately. And when he got down to Zone G to check on the barricades sometime over the night had been removed and tossed into the canal extension. So we immediately called our street maintenance folks, so they went down there with their boat, fished them out, and put them back in place. So that's the kind of thing, we inspect them every single day, put them back when we have an incident, like that. But once this agreement is approved, those barricades will be gone, and there will be no need to ever have those in place again. So. Yes. Yeah. The only issue has been, with the pedestrian access. So. Item number 3 is the May Avenue Dam control house leveling item. We actually took bids on that project this morning, and we will be awarding the contract for that on July the 15th. We'd like to do it a little bit sooner, but since the council only meets every other week, starting next week, we won't be able to award that contract and issue a work order until the 15th of July on that. So with that, I'll be happy to entertain any questions. If not, request that the report be approved as submitted.
Move approval.
All those in favor say aye. Paul, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Moving to item B, which is the unaudited interim financial statement for period ending April 30th.
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments? Not record your vote, please. Item is approved. Moving to item C, which is report on quarterly meeting of the Oklahoma River Stakeholders Group.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, trustees. A couple of things I want to acknowledge. One is that my colleague, David Birch, was kind enough to facilitate this last stakeholders meeting. I was called away for a family wedding and was not able to attend. Mr. Birch, by all reports, did a fine job and ran the meeting very well, and it was very informative. A couple of things that I think were topics of high focus. One is as Trustee Doherty just reported, the Whitewater facility has been put out to public bids, and that, of course, starts the clock ticking toward hopefully getting that facility under construction and underway. That was of great interest to those in attendance, as were some of the new features and facilities that are opened in the Boathouse District itself. There's discussion about some of the hotel development on the west end of the 7-mile corridor as well. So it was a well-attended meeting, a good meeting. It was hosted by the Boathouse Foundation on the top floor of the Finish Line Tower, which is always a great place to get a perspective on on how much is taking place and then future planning areas as well. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Otherwise, I would ask that the report be received as submitted.
Any questions of Pat or other comments?
Move approval of the report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Record your vote. Item approves.
Thank you.
Item E is to recommend Oklahoma City Council adopt an ordinance relating to, approve a contract between Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority and Triad for an on-call engineering service to the riverfront.
So move the item.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments? Please record your vote. Item is approved. Item E is the item we talked about at the start of the meeting with the recommendation of the City Council to adopt an ordinance relating to the Parks and Recreation things that we talked about earlier.
The Land and Water Use Committee recommends adoption of this ordinance.
Second.
So, as I understand it, the only thing that are changing is you're not going to stock the river anymore?
They're not going to stock, pardon me, they're not going to stock the river, and then at Crystal Lake, you will not be able to use sailboats,
Okay.
and the director will have discretion of special events to be able to use whatever boating apparatus he agrees to.
Any other comments? Please record your vote.
I just think that that's really great that the director has some discretion on this, because I know originally on some Crystal Lake, those were where a couple of the hang-ups was trying to go back, and I think having a parks director that can do some discretionary if they're bringing in a Boy Scout type of event or something, I think is significant.
Any other comments? Please record your vote. The item is approved. Item F is to adopt a resolution ratifying the action of Oklahoma City Council in approving a revocable permit for the Oklahoma City Boat Foundation for the Stars and Stripes River Festival, June the 28th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments? Please record your vote. Item is approved. Item 6 is our claims docket.
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments? Please record your vote. Item is approved. Item 7, additional items. First item is the Redevelopment Authority Director's Report. Pat?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reports are in your packet. A couple of items worthy of note is the USA Canoe and Kayak National Trials are held here in Oklahoma City, and that is the precursor to the international, let me see here, if I can remember how to go. It is the International Canoe Federation, ICF. Their World Championship on the Flatwater will be held here in the United States on the Oklahoma River. First time ever for us in Oklahoma City, and first time in many, many years for the United States to host this event. And so would certainly encourage you to take in those events and enjoy them. They are extraordinary, and I think you'll see some very positive press coverage spanning the globe, in fact, as the event comes closer. Our hope is that the Whitewater Center may actually be under construction or near under construction by the time the international event hits, so you'll have an opportunity for international media and significant international sport authority executives and board members literally from all around the world to see what we're doing here on the Oklahoma River. So I think it's an opportunity not to be missed, and certainly appreciate Mr. Knopp and the Boathouse Foundation for their leadership in bringing those events to the community. Also would report that there is significant interest in another couple of hotels out on the west end of the river toward Meridian. Have not gotten to the point where land has changed hands at this point, but I'm certainly aware that there are a couple of new hotels being talked about, and it's indicative of the area, the Meridian hospitality corridor certainly solidifying as it intersects the river. I think this is something that we will continue to foster and monitor. It is also an indication that Oklahoma City's hospitality industry is certainly in good shape. The overall occupancy rates in Oklahoma City are very strong, very solid, and that obviously creates a foundation on which hoteliers are interested in developing new properties. So if there are any questions about the rest of the report, be happy to answer them. Otherwise, would request that the report be received as submitted.
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Any other comments? If not, please record your vote. Item is approved.
Thank you.
Anyone on the trust have anything additionally they'd like to bring forward?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. I read in the newspaper recently the never-ending saga of the Indian Cultural Center, which of course is within our jurisdiction. I was just wondering where we are on that and what role, if anything, are we going to be playing in that in the future, or maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
I think there are others having the same wonderment you have. There are a lot of options that may come about, but I don't know if, Pat, has there been any conversation on the council that...
Just some minor conversation that indicated the city had jumped its full length as far as financial support, and we probably wouldn't do anything else. Sort of wait and see what's going to happen.
And I think we all realize there is a reversionary clause in that, so that could possibly impact us at some point. So, anyway.
I guess it's just the lawyer in me.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I advised, serving as mayor's surrogate last month, that I intended to resign at this meeting, and I have submitted that form of resignation. I didn't realize it's been 7 years of service. I am very adamant that these type of positions should be turned over from time to time. I meant to do this at 5 years, and it got away from me. But I appreciate the fact, too, that there needs to be continuity, and I really enjoyed making my new river friends and being involved in this probably the most dynamic and exciting aspect of the city's business is the river itself. So I appreciate the service, and I thank you very much, and Pat and everybody and staff and Francis, everybody that has lent so much to the river, and I appreciate being a part of this over the last 7 years.
Well, we wish you well. We certainly appreciate your service. Thank you, Wayne. Anything else? Anyone in the audience have anything to bring before the trust? If not, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Thank you.